Not quite as cool.
Hey everybody, good morning. Good morning. Looks like we got sound, we got uh people, we got video. Good morning, YouTube. How's it going, everybody? And looks like we got Infinity, Arturo, Don, Ray, Everett, John, Francois, Donald, Svinborn, David, or Dave, Nikki, Kevin. Welcome everybody. And I got a new surprise. Something new for Jeffrey Termite Trading. I have an intern now. His name is Will. He's over here off to my side. And I'm not going to make him get on camera or anything. It's his first day. And here on President's Day, making him work on a holiday week, a holiday day, I guess you might say. We're going to do a crypto especial today. So even though the market's closed, I guess Washington's birthday / renamed to President's Day. Whatever. I got the mango monster this morning, which comes out kind of clear. I guess the green screen likes that color. And welcome everybody. Welcome, Keith. If you want to be a chatter, chat with me right on the stream. Click the button over there, the subscribe button. And I got a funny story. I went and did merit badge college. My dad went to Norway. I was talking about, I bought the new camera and we did the live stream from the in-person event in January. And my dad took it with him to Norway. And, well, he was coming back from Norway on Saturday. And he had scheduled himself to do merit badge college for Scouts BSA. And that's where you go basically teach a merit badge in one day at a local community college. And I was like, okay, well, you're not going to make it back. He's like, can you go teach the class? I was like, I don't really want to, but I guess I could. He's like, oh, it's easy. You know all this stuff from being a civil engineer. It's just soil and water conservation. I was like, all right. Back and forth. He's like, I got it all set up. It's like, I got it all in this case, everything you need. You just take it and teach the kids. So I had like 5 scouts signed up. They were boys and girls in the class. And I started out and I told them I was a YouTuber. And, after I introduced myself and the fact I was an engineer, but now I'm turned YouTuber. And believe it or not, 2 of the kids were paper trading already. 2 of them. They were like, oh, we're going to follow you and this and that and the other. So if you're watching on the stream today, dudes, welcome. Thank you for coming to the merit badge class. And thanks for participating. They wanted to know what to buy. And they were loading up, watching some of my videos during the breaks. And they're like, we're going to buy Ford. I was like, careful. That's like a 2-year-old video. They're like, oh my gosh, it is a 2-year-old video. So it was just cool that those young guys are interested in paper trading already. And my new intern over here, he's a freshman at UT in Knoxville, and he's going to help me. Hopefully, if everything is going good, we get along well. We're going to work on how to hook more of the young people into the group here, and make some content that engages that younger group, because I feel like it's important to help the youth get ahead in the world, just like I'm helping you right now. So thanks for coming and being part of everything I do. I couldn't do it without you. So thank you, everybody. Yeah, next generation of traders. That's right, Arturo. So, it's a great place to start. And even if you're new here and you're not young, and maybe you got a couple of years on you, maybe a couple days, a couple minutes, whatever. I don't see him on the chat this morning, but that's he's been focused on a lot of paper trading. So he's learning a lot of stuff, and he's not necessarily young, he's not necessarily old, he's just kind of in the he's younger than me, but he's in the middle, and you're not too old to paper trade. I've talked about this before. You can blow a lot of money, you can pay for that education, or you can do it in paper. And there's some lessons that you can't learn in paper trading, but there's a lot of lessons you can learn in paper trading, especially if you take it seriously and treat it like it's actually real money. So if you need more information about that, just hit us up in Discord. And if you want to come join us in Discord, the link's down below. It's like $5 to come join me in Discord. No big deal. I mean, that's probably the best investment you can make in yourself. You get a watch list for 3 months. You get the roadmap line, which is on every chart I do, including SMCI right here that was plummeting into the close on Friday. I mean, look at that. We came up $13 shy of my target up there. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Holy cheese and crackers. I got really close, and maybe it got even closer if we look at the overnight action there. We actually turned it on to extended hours. Did I get even closer? See, we topped out at 1080 exactly. So I was $10. I missed it by $10. I mean, golly. Sometimes I get lucky. I mean, that was basically, I'd call that hitting the 1090, the 1090 target. I mean, I always say be conservative on your targets. That was pretty dang close right there. That was pretty dang close. Where do I expect it to go now? Down. Down, down, down in a blaze of glory. Be careful out there. All right. I have 500 puts. I have 400 puts. I have a variety of expirations. None of it is going to hurt me that bad. If for some reason it goes to the moon and we wake up on Friday and this thing's at, 10,000 or something, that would be absolutely ridiculous, but it's possible. Anything's possible. All right. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. Just because I got SMCI right, I got Tesla right, I got Netflix right. Just because I get them right in the past doesn't mean I'll ever get another one right in the future. This presentation is intended to be informational, educational, fun, and entertaining. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell anything at all. No stocks, no options, no bonds, no cryptos, no futures, no forex, no treasuries. Don't buy them, don't sell them, don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. It all involves a substantial risk of loss. That's why you should paper trade until you're competent at doing this. All right. You don't hire the knee surgeon that's fresh out of school to replace your knee. All right. He's never done one before. You don't want to be the guinea pig, right? You want the guy that's done 10,000 of them. That it's pretty easy for him. Like, that's the guy that's going to get it right because he's done a bunch of them. All right. If you desire personal financial advice, hire a consultant financial advisor. That's not me. I'm not giving you financial advice. You got to hire somebody that can do that for you. All right. And yeah, there's Wrongimer. There you are, buddy. Good to see you this morning. And if you're new here, let me know in the chat. I love new people jumping in the chat, saying, hey, good morning. And be careful on that one. Be careful. But you know what? The general market is closed, although the futures are open till 1 p.m. Imagine that. Did you even know that? Raise your hand if you knew. Futures were open today, at least half a day. And they'll be trading. They'll close early. They'll reopen. But they're ticking along. And just kind of consolidating. This doesn't look very bullish right there. Doesn't look very bullish. Be careful. We may see a big down. Now, we don't really have any economic news coming up this week. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But get on the right week here. Last full week of February already. Last full week. So, I don't know. Where's the year going already? I mean, 2/12 done, 1/6 done with the year almost. I mean, next thing you know, it's gonna be 4th of July, then Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then we'll be on to 2025. Just time flies. Time flies. Anyway, we'll have the FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday at 2 p.m. But there's not really any pre-market banging information that might rock us, it looks like. Almost all week. We got some unemployment claims on Thursday, but that's every week. We've got some flash manufacturing and services PMI, which might move the market, but that's after we get the open on Thursday. And Friday, kind of benign. And we have those FOMC minutes. That's just the minutes on Wednesday, but that's at 2 p.m., not pre-market. So that may cause a little volatility if we see just how hawkish the Fed really is. You know what? They might have to raise rates after this last round of inflation numbers last week. The CPI, the PPI, the jobs. I mean, it's looking rough. The new home starts. I mean, that's all very inflationary. I don't know. May have to raise rates, not cut rates. We'll see what the narrative ends up being. So be cautious. Be cautious. Be cautious. All right. Moving on. So that's kind of the week. Not a lot of economic news. Not a lot of I don't expect a lot of craziness out of economic news. That's usually when we get the craziest moves, though, right? Sometimes. So ES is just kind of consolidating. NQ just kind of consolidating on this boring holiday weekend. And we're going to jump into my crypto power plays list. Total market cap of crypto. Total market cap. Look at this. This thing's a beast right here. Now, some of the cool places to go look at crypto stuff. Coin market cap right here. There are 2.2 million cryptos. So if you feel like you can't even comprehend all the cryptos, there's a good reason why. There's 2.2 million of them and growing. Grows every day. There's 700 crypto exchanges. If you didn't know that, welcome to the truth. And not all of these exist in like companies and stuff like that. Some of them are DeFi. Some of them just exist in the cloud as a crypto exchange. That's a mind bender when you really kind of try to think about it. And the biggest thing to remember in crypto, there's no centralized price. Like the price of Bitcoin is different at every single different exchange. That's like a mind bender, right? There's no centralized government. There's no centralized place where the price of Bitcoin gets coalesced into the price of Bitcoin. Now, the price that they report down here is going to be off of the exchange that they're working with, the one that provides them the price. When we actually click in here and you go look down here at the markets for Bitcoin, look at the prices. They're different all over the place. We see a lot of arbitrage between different exchanges, and they kind of balance the price right around that 52,130 area right now. But if we jump down here, way on down the list, 10 per, that's 58,900 different markets for Bitcoin. You jump on down here, the prices are all sorts of crazy. So just going down to page 4, you get some discrepancies off of the 50. Right now it's showing 52,000 right there, showing 52,154. So there are arbitrage opportunities if you're swift enough and have the money and the connections to arbitrage between markets for Bitcoin. Each of these markets is standalone, and they can have a different price. All right. So just wanted to throw that out there as some information, and that works the same way for all the 2 million cryptos. You know, some cryptos out there don't have this kind of support with 58,000 different markets. And I'm not talking about different exchanges. I'm talking about different markets. So like Bitcoin, Great British Pound on the Coinbase exchange is a different market than Bitcoin US dollars. All right. They're treated as Forex pairs. They're traded independently of each other. Now there's the, Great British Pound US dollar is a Forex pair, and that will be used to balance, used in the balance of Bitcoin US dollars, Bitcoin Great British Pound, then you have Bitcoin Euros, you got Bitcoin JPY, you got Bitcoin all sorts of things. That holds true in Bitcoin because it's the big dog. Bitcoin broke $1 trillion of market cap again for the first time since 2022 when we burned it down in crypto winter. This thing's rocking, up 8% in the last week, 25% in the last month. The FOMO is getting real. We had the halving event coming up. If you're unfamiliar on the halving event, hearing about 8,865 more blocks. The payout rate for mining a block of Bitcoin or solving the block authentication, that's actually what mining is. You solve the block, you authenticate the block and all the transactions in the block with a hash rate, with a hash number, a SHA-256 hash. It has to match the difficulty, which is the number of zeros that are in front of the number, the hexadecimal numbers here. Dropping a lot of information on you right now. We have 8,865 blocks left to go till we hit the magic 840,000th block, where the payout rate cuts from 6.25 Bitcoins down to 3.125 Bitcoins for solving the next block. See, right now, the total fees on the last block combined with the 6.25 Bitcoins yields a payout of the last block was 6.54 Bitcoins for solving that block. Now, it's estimated that we have about 60 days left, give or take a few minutes. We mint a block about every 10 minutes or so. It's not fixed. It's a guessing game. All right, whoever guesses the block first, and they adjust the difficulty so that it takes about 10 minutes of guessing before we get the block. They adjust that every 2 weeks. So right now, we've got 8,865 blocks left to guess. Probably going to take about 59, 60 days. So where does that put us when we go look at the chart from today? Here we are. 60 days is right there, somewhere around the 19th or the 20th of April. Are you prepared? Now, what we may see is a FOMO squeeze into like people afraid of missing out. Like there's hype, there's real hype. I've seen more hype this Bitcoin halving than I've ever seen before. In fact, some of the scouts knew about Bitcoin halving. Like that was one of the first times I've experienced that before, where other people generally not knowledgeable about crypto knew about it. So what we may see is we rally into this halving event, and then people get really disappointed in what happens. Get really disappointed. And we have a sell the news event, similar to what we had back on the ETFs getting approved. When we approved those ETFs, everybody's like, I thought this was going to be bullish. And then we got this big red candle and follow through and retrace down to here. And then we've taken it right back, pushing higher. We could push an all-time high as we ramp into this Bitcoin halving event. I'm going to clear this chart right here, remove all these drawings. Look right here. From this high to this low, we have pushed above the key resistance. The key resistance, I always look at that. Look, you see it right there, right? Everybody see it? Let me know if you're not seeing it. We were basically kind of like a weekly roadmap line bounce. Probably might be a 2-week or a 3-week roadmap line bounce. We basically did a roadmap line bounce. We're above the 618. This sets the odds 70%. Same pattern, same thing we always watch. 83,000, possibly 101,000. Make sure it's on the log scale. 83,000, 101,000. Something's fishy. Something's not quite right. There we go. When we switch it to log mode, which it's moving more than $50, 103, possibly 174. Possibly we get ridiculous levels. What kind of ridiculous levels? Well, look at the last time we did this bounce. We went right to the 1618 level, right there. Just past it. Why did I tell my brother to sell at 60,000? Because it's the 1618 level, right there, of that last move in the prior halving. Same situation. So, based on this, maybe all we get this time is 174,000. But it's possible we rocket on higher. The potential is out there, all right? I don't want anybody to miss out, but don't have FOMO. Don't have FOMO. Make sure you grab a strategic position. But 103 could be where we stop. We could bounce off of that, retrace, and go higher. We could come up here, right to the prior high, and get a retrace at the halving. Right there in April. Could retrace. Could come back to that level. Right where we just consolidated for a bunch of weeks. Before we go up here. All right? It's not being wrong that costs you the money. It's staying wrong. Don't stay wrong. Know what your plan is. Know what you expect to happen. Don't go at this blind, all right? And keep following me if you want to stay up to date on this. I'll keep you abreast of the situation as we go through this whole thing. I do expect a halving run similar to we've had last time, similar to what we had the time before that, similar to time before that, I do expect a halving run post-halving. And then sometime mid to late 2025, next year, we're going to reach a top. And then we're going to have a crypto winter that takes us right back down, probably in the 60 to 70,000 vicinity. Probably right down in here. We will probably see that again. It's probably going to lose upwards of 60 to 70% of its value. Could come back in the 50s after we reach that high. This is the way it's worked every time in the past. It's the way it's likely to work again. 2026 is likely to be a horrible year for Bitcoin and crypto. We may see a lot of the miners not survive this next crypto winter. Keep it in mind, all right? After that, we'll start another cycle in 27, pre-halving run, 28, another halving, 29, probably make another high, maybe. We'll see how it plays out. Any questions? Let me know in the chat. That's kind of Bitcoin halving in a nutshell. What I expect. Big picture. Ethereum on a different path, on a different thing here. Ethereum has the potential to rally up to 35 right now. They have spot ETFs potentially getting approved in May. We'll see. There's a decision point coming up. I don't have a fancy cool chart that tracks the spot ETFs for Ethereum yet, but Ethereum is fundamentally different than Bitcoin. A couple actually now. It used to be proof of work. They changed to proof of stake. That happened in September of 22. Right here, this big vertical line, I think is where October, September. It was right back in here. Oh, that big vertical line is actually the head and shoulders pattern. The the proof of stake conversion, where they went from proof of work to proof of stake, was right in there. And look what happened. Like, it's been lackluster ever since that. Just now getting a little bit sparky. We are not above. Gotta reset that to the bottom. We're not above the major consolidation right here that we did. This major consolidation, that's going to be a significant resistance point coming across here, right around 35,000. That head and shoulders, where we had the head, shoulder, that plays out right in this, right in the vicinity where we are, actually. So watch for a reaction. Could be violent. Could be violent. If you take it off log mode, we're not to the 618 level either yet. So, not saying it's good, not saying it's bad, but Ethereum is lagging. And popping back over here, you can see the dominance. Bitcoin is almost 53% in the entire crypto market value. Ethereum is a paltry 17%. 52, 17. Add those together. What do you get? 70%, basically. Pretty darn close. 70% of the value of crypto is tied up in those two. The other 2.2 million have the other 30%-ish. Why do I watch these two and talk about them every morning? Because that's where most of the money is. That's almost 1.4 trillion out of the total market cap of crypto of 1.9 trillion. And the numbers are slightly different on this one at 1.93 versus this one at 1.922. Just because they don't necessarily all count the same number of cryptos and have the same prices and all that stuff, all right? Like I said, there's no centralized price. They do the best they can, but there's no centralized price. Now, another fundamental difference. Ethereum is proof of stake. It's authenticated by the hodlers, the people holding Ethereum. All right, you have to stake down 32 Ethereum to authenticate transactions. You compete with other people who have staked down 32 Ethereum to authenticate transactions. And you get paid a fee for staking that crypto down to authenticate the transactions. How does that work? Well, Bitcoin could actually work very simply, and the SHA-256 could work instantly if it wasn't a competition for the block. All right, they increase the difficulty and make it a very specific SHA-256 number that they're looking for with a bunch of zeros in front of it, a padding, if you will. They make it very specific what number they're looking for to authenticate the block. You could run that authentication one time with a SHA-256, and that would authenticate the block. That's what Ethereum does. They run basically one authentication hash on the transactions, and the proof of stake, the people staking it down, they get elected for who verifies that block, and then it gets verified by verifiers. The verification gets verified, and that's how the proof of stake works, and they distribute the reward to people that properly authenticate the transactions in the block. Similar but different. And the calculation's only done a handful of times instead of gajillion times a second. And when we look at somebody like Marathon Digital Holdings, Marathon. We'll go look at their news and events here. Operations update for January. Yeah, now deployed 2,000 miner. Let's see, where's the total? Didn't even plan to bring this up. Average, there we go. Average operational hash rate, exahashes. What the heck is an exahash, right? Exahash. A hash is one calculation of SHA-256 per second. I mean, that's one hash, all right? So, mega hashes, millions, gigahashes, billions, terahashes, trillions, right? Petahashes, exahashes. That's how big exahash is. So they're calculating it 19 gajillion times a second. All right, and they're just one small chunk of the Bitcoin miners that are out there doing this. So SHA-256 is calculated that many times a second all over the world. Makes it the most calculated algorithm in the world right now. Start wrapping your head around that. That's a lot of computers doing a SHA-256 algorithm really fast. Where'd the SHA-256 algorithm come from? From the NSA, National Security Administration. That can bend your mind too when you start piecing it all together. So, right there, they produced 1,084 Bitcoins in the month of January. Substantial increase from the year ago, 58%. Why do I like Mora? Because, they've diluted their shares to buy these miners. They haven't really taken on a lot of debt, and they've been retiring debt by selling a lot of their Bitcoin in preparation for the halving event. They're trying to lean mean, get themselves efficient, heading into 2024, 2025, and beyond. They're trying to reach 50 exahash a second by the end of 25. You see the goal right there. And they're trying to be green, trying to source it from solar and other renewable sources of electricity to mine these Bitcoins. The estimated cost to mine Bitcoin has gone up from $20,000 to about $30,000 of electricity per Bitcoin. So that leaves about a $20,000 overhead for every Bitcoin that you mine at the current prices. Pretty wild, huh? That's why it's so popular. It's a big numbers game, though. The more machines you have out there guessing, the bigger the rewards. All right, what about the rest of crypto, right? Like all these other... What about it? Well, Ethereum Classic is a split off of Ethereum before they went proof of stake. These guys are still proof of work. And As you can see here, they're not really breaking out in a bullish way. We've done a 4-hour roadmap line bounce, but we haven't broke above that 618 level at this point. Raven coin right here, back up to the daily, has done what looks like kind of a market roadmap reversal, but the key thing for you Elliott Wave ticians, those of you that know some Elliott Wave, what do you see right there? Let me know in the chat. That gives me big caution. Big caution. Raven coin may not be bullish. Raven coin may be breaking down further. And we could get this could be an A wave, and this could be a B wave, and we could get a C wave that extends up. That extension right here, potentially pushing us up into this 32-cent area. Right here. That's not a 5-wave up. Raven coin does not have a 5-wave up. That is a 3-wave. 1, 2, 3. That's a corrective move. Could it be a leading diagonal? We could. I mean, in which case, this thing would just be blah, 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 just choppy in here. Be very careful on that. Be very careful on Raven coin. Dogecoin. Dogecoin, as the doggy coin, some people call it. Significant resistance right here. You're long much Dogecoin. This coin pumps out 10,000 coins every couple minutes. So just to maintain this 8.5 cent price, it has to absorb 10,000 coins at 8 cents every couple minutes. Even faster than Bitcoin. That's very inflationary. That makes it long-term on the pathway to zero. Kind of like our US dollars right there in action, getting inflated down. This looks like a classic bubble chart like we've talked about many times in the past. Looks a lot like NVIDIA, SMCI, GME, AMC, you name it. Doesn't that look a lot the same? Be careful on Dogecoin. A direct related descendant of Dogecoin. SHIB. Very similar chart. Not the same chart, but very similar chart. Highly cautious on those. Highly cautious. All right. ADA has something different cooking. Although it does look bubbly. When we go down in here, we have something kind of interesting cooking here. This was more constructive up. This was a corrective down. It sets us up for potential. Breaking above that 618 level. 76.85 on the upside. Solana, this one's been cooking a bullish pattern for a while. We bottomed out back here in December 22. We've kind of made a nested 1212 potential. This one has potential to run back to prior highs. And here I am moving alerts again. Potential to run back to prior highs. But we do have some resistance at 140 top where we consolidated right here. 140, 150, 160. We've got to work through. Then we could get above the bigger retrace. I need to put it on the actual low here. If we get above that, 618 up there, 168, we could be heading on up. 334, possibly 424. You'd be like, wow, that's pretty big. Yeah. I have a few of these, not a big position. I bought them back here at 25. When we were breaking out above that level where we consolidated for a long freaking time. Once we broke above that, game on. XRP. Oh. This one is not doing what I would care to see for a bullish move. This is very overlappy and choppy. These lows keep overlapping the prior highs. It's not setting up some sort of nested setup. If we break down below the bottom of this uptrend of lows, we could see a significant downside retrace. Highly cautious. Highly cautious on XRP. Dot is not as interesting, but it does have a 5 up, a 3-wave retrace, and potential to make a nice move if you were so inclined to be exposed. 10, possibly 12 on the upside. Avalanche. Fed now is built on Avalanche, and that kind of interests me a bit. And it has a 5 up and a small retrace. And right now, I'm just going to go ahead and clear all these. Right now, if we look at this, the small potential breakout above, say, 61, we could see upwards of 300 to 800. That would be a wicked move, right? We're looking for that to break above that 618 resistance. It was support over here before it even, like before the fib was even locked in. So it's support, crushed on through, nothing, resistance. We can break above it, potentially heading on up. Beautiful potential there. Matic has been working on bullish reversal for a good long time. Started back here, all the way back in June of 22. That's kind of about the time Ethereum bottomed out. Nice constructive move up in a 5-wave fashion, 3-wave retrace to a higher low. Sets this up. Conservative target like 210, but if you really look at the bigger picture going on here, gotta fix these just a little bit. This is not the actual set of charts I use for crypto power plays. We have the potential to rally right up here to like $6 or $7. Huge potential right now when you look at 98 cents. We're talking about 6 to 7x upside potential if Matic/Polygon really gets going. Beautiful potential. Beautiful. Uniswap. Kicking off a bunch of my alerts the last couple of days. This one looks like we're pushing on up to $9, possibly 10, and a roadmap line bounce. Same pattern I look for all the time on stocks. You can see it right there. Nice, beautiful bounce. Breaking above. 70% likely to get 9, possibly $10, and then we'll see what happens. Litecoin. There goes my stomach growling. Didn't like Litecoin at all. Litecoin had a halving event back here in August. We had a pre-halving excitement. We didn't quite make it to my target, and then we've been lackluster in sort of a correction since then. It was a sloppy 5 up. We got kind of a 5 up. Maybe it was a leading diagonal. This should correct back down, maybe a little lower, maybe possibly to 51. We're sitting on the bottom side of the roadmap line. Not bullish at all. That right there looks like we're heading on down, possibly this 50 area right here. If we hold a higher low on that, we may see a corrective move on up higher again. Now, funny thing, when you mine Litecoin, you mine Dogecoin, or when you mine Dogecoin, you mine Litecoin. It's at the same time. Like you don't even have to change anything. They're tied together. So Dogecoin is built basically on Litecoin's network. They kind of fly parallel. Interesting tidbit there. Mana is looking a little more bullish with the roadmap line bounce there potentially. Not huge upside at the moment, but nice potential. 69.75 on the upside there. Zoom it up, JT. Yeah, I'm working on it. Nice 5-ish wave up. Could be construed. This is a nice roadmap line retest. Kind of we've seen same pattern we see a lot where we just kind of sit on it. Potentially going to break above 52 here and set us up for like 65 or 75 on the upside for mana. Not too shabby. I mean, it's a fair upside potential. Anchor. I don't know why I like Anchor. I've liked Anchor for a long time. It keeps letting me down, and I don't know why I like it, but Anchor potentially gonna get going here. Nice roadmap bounce. I don't know about these targets. It's probably overly optimistic at this point based on what it's done price action wise. It's not about, remember that whole being wrong, staying wrong, costing you the money, paying for your education. Luckily, I bought my Anchor at 3 cents. Yes, it's now at 2.9 cents. I am slightly underwater. underwater like 20 bucks in my chunk of anchor I have, with potential for it to rally up to 3.6, possibly 4.1, and possibly get going on up to higher levels. But we'll see what happens. It's just slightly positive right now. Does have a series of higher lows, which could indicate that we're working through the next bullish run, which could take us, if that was the move up, that was the retrace, and we get even just a bearish continuation higher for that low, could be talking somewhere up in this neighborhood around 9 cents, possibly 15 cents, and the long-term resistance at the all-time high on anchor up there. And underwater on the anchor, yeah. Different spelling of anchor, but yeah. So Mara, look at that baby. This is a pretty beautiful chart, actually. Pretty beautiful chart. And I'm just going to go ahead and remove that. This is a classic market roadmap bounce. Move up, retrace, move up, retrace probably, and pop either the 1272 or the 1618, 35, 41, next upside targets. And then we'll probably get another retrace. How big? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. This is probably getting to be the heart of the wave 3, and we may see these extensions and pullbacks that are very consistent here on out up into next year. So we may see pullbacks that are about that big consistently up through here as we push higher. I do expect triple digits on Mara coming out of the halving or into the halving run that'll take place. You know, the halving run is not now. It's after halving, and it's likely to kick off 220. Well, it's likely to break all-time highs if we don't do it before the halving, somewhere around 220 to 240 days after the halving event. The halving event being the April, roughly 60 days from now. April 19, 20. So 220, 240 days from that. Mara is a Bitcoin miner. They don't mine anything else. So if we talk about April, I don't even have it marked on here, funny enough. Vertical line, April, basically April 20. Right, let's just go with April 19th. So 220 days out would put us right, there's 230, right between 220 and 240. Puts us December 4th, right there. I don't short hardly anything. There's not many things I short. SMCI I'm short on. That's not much else I'm short on. I don't like to short because in general the market goes up, and so there you go. No, you've got it all wrong, John. You're misinterpreting what I said. That's likely when we make the new all-time high on Bitcoin. Let's go look at it real quick. Let's go talk about it in Bitcoin terms, what I'm talking about. Dun, 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 dun. We're going to have to fly back in time. To a land far, far away. In a time when we had Bitcoin halving last time. Right around May 15th, I think it was. Here was the all-time high. At that point in time. So what I'm talking about is the length of time it takes to go from here to here. On average is about 220 to 240 days. That's Bitcoin making a new all-time high. I'm not talking about, this is usually roughly a year and a half, like 18 months after halving will typically make the high. This one lasted a little longer, almost closer to 24 months. So around 18 months is usually when we make that all-time high historically. We've only got 3 halving events prior to roll off of. Looks a little different here as we change the different log or not log. And this one's not got the all-time history. This one stops at 2015. Let me go BTC USD, all-time history. Right here, I have these halving events marked. I don't think I got that one quite perfect. So we're talking about that distance of time from here to breaking an all-time high, and then the time it takes to get to the new all-time high that holds for a while. Roughly 12 to 18 months after the halving. This is the fourth cycle. The first cycle being when it came on when it was introduced, period. It wasn't halving, that was just unleashed upon the world back in 2009. We got the first run off of the unleashed to the world, then the disappointment, and then the lead up into the halving, then the next halving run, then the disappointment, into the low, then we ran up into the halving, disappointment, then spike after the halving, disappointment again, pre-halving run, pull back into the halving, big spike, pull back, and leads us to now. See the cycle very clear when we do this, right? Use the all-time history of Bitcoin. We get hyped up, we pull back. 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 And we're off to the next one. Repeatable pattern. I love to find these, all right? Repeatable patterns. So best of my knowledge, 100,000, possibly 300,000, but 100,000 looks like a reasonable target. That's double, a little better than double where we are, or right at double from where we are. We could top out there. We may not break much higher than 100 and something thousand. 150 is kind of the minimum I expect, though, because typically every one of these pullbacks, we've gone 10 to 20x to the next high. Whatever this was, 10 to 20x to this high. Whatever this pullback was, 10 to 20x to this high. Whatever this pullback was, 10 to 20x to that high. It's kind of been the way it worked every single time. So from this low, right around 15,600-ish, 10 to 20x, 10x, 150,000, 20x, 300,000. Round numbers. That's pretty crazy, right? Buy your Bitcoin now. All right. Moving on. I'm only gonna spend a few more minutes with this. I'm not going on forever. It is a holiday day, and I got other stuff to do today. So, Riot looks a little less awesome. I'm gonna start skipping around a little bit. Riot looking a little less awesome. This doesn't have quite the bullish nested setup, although we are above that 618 level. If we can get the continuation, probably 23, maybe 27 on the upside. And if we can really get the bigger pattern going, potentially could see something up in here, but let's not get ahead of ourselves right now. 23, the more likely target on Riot. Hut looks like a piece of garbage, horrible piece of garbage. Below the roadmap line, dumpster fire, has a reverse split. All the things that make a dumpster fire probably going down. That's a 3-wave up into the roadmap line. Correction. $5, $4. I told you back here when they announced they were going to do all that, the GTFO. I've never seen a reverse split that ended up being bullish. Do you think the general public is now changing the Bitcoin trajectories due to ETF access? Maybe. The ETFs, I always speculated, would suck up about 15% of the available liquid Bitcoin. It wasn't an instant thing either. It was going to take about 12 to 18 months, and that overlaps the halving run, which could exacerbate the halving run this time. We could see outperformance of the halving run due to that extra money soaking up the 15% of the liquidity in Bitcoin. We could see an outperformance. I don't expect it. I expect the same thing as always. Go in it conservatively and then be glad if we get the outperformance. All right. And it's not just different set of investors. As they lock it up in those ETFs, that's just liquidity gone. It's a liquidity squeeze. It's a different dynamic thrown upon the market. I expect the same dynamic that we've always had in Bitcoin. It's just an added dynamic with the liquidity squeeze. It's just supply and demand. That's a core tenet of supply and demand if you take economics or you've ever had economics. Supply squeeze. A huge reduction of supply, what does it do to price? Straight up. Even Will knew that one. All right. Let's hit a few more cryptos. The one I talked about if you've been to my crypto power plays presentation, where I kind of hype you up and try to get you hooked into crypto power plays, I talk about Rose. Rose has a nice potential roadmap bounce, 4-hour type. Maybe something a little higher than 4 hours. Didn't quite touch the daily. Definitely went down in the 4-hour here. So right now we have the potential to rally on up to 17, possibly 20 on the upside. And it's part of a bigger pattern that we've got cooking. We did this move here. This is potentially wave 3. And we have a bigger, much bigger pattern cooking. Potentially heading on up to, once we get to 16, find some resistance, pull back, and then it could shoot us up on up into this 40, 50 cent area near where we had the prior all-time high. Right there. I did buy most of my rows down at around 4 or 5 cents. 5.7 cents maybe. I do have a lot of these. You notice the same roadmap pattern. I have like 60 something thousand of these. These are staked down. It's crypto.com's coin. If we get above this same consolidation area right here that we see on lots of stuff, back about 10 cents, could be pushing us up to 14, possibly 17, possibly getting back above the bigger corrective resistance. Just clear this chart. Just remove all the drawings. When you look at what it did here, big correction down. This looks a lot like an IPO, right? This is a company's coin. It's controlled by a company, crypto.com. If we could possibly get above 32, that would set it up likely to go up to $2.15, possibly $6 right there. Huge upside potential. But what do I expect really? Just back up to 50 cents. Back up where we consolidated. That may be all we muster on this rally. Just don't get too excited on me. That would be a nice move. If it does it in a 3-wave fashion on zooming out, looking at the weekly, then it's a bummer, but it's what you got, and you should probably get out. GTFO. I did Rose. Rose already done. And not going back. VITQ. This is a nice chart right here. Nice upside potential. If you want the whole deep dive into crypto power plays update, I'll give you the link here in a minute. If you want to join that, right there, 15, 17 on the upside. There's a market roadmap bounce. Classic pattern. The potential upside, 15, 17, right there. And let me go ahead and pull up my link and share it over. If you have interest in joining my crypto power plays, yeah, that link makes 100% sense. http://Jeffrey. Right here. Throw it in the chat. JeffreyTrader.com/crypto. If you want to join me, that one is more expensive. All right. If you just want to come join me in Discord, $5. Links down below. Click the more button. If I've said anything today that was beneficial, give me a like. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and take off today. We'll be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, right here. Come join us. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now, everybody.